Portions of this podcast are made possible through generous donations from patrons like @LonelyBob and Big Al V. If you aren't a patron yet and still want to help, you can like, comment, or subscribe and help the podcast grow.
Welcome to the Vicis Interimo 30 Minutes to Kill podcast.
You are listening to the Vicis Interimo show, 30 Minutes to Kill, More or Less, a horror entertainment show featuring horror, suspense, and psychological thrillers. This is episode 266. And today's episode is going to be a fear clinic.
Fear clinic.
Yeah. And so if you're new to the show, did I already say I am Michael Matt Saxon Jones here with my lovely wife, Lori?
I don't think you did.
I don't think I did. We generally have 4 segments to each show, a Laid to Rest, where we review or recap anything that we may have missed in previous shows. We have a featured movie review, which, like I said, is going to be Fear Clinic. Garbage in, garbage out, where we're going to talk about any movie, TV shows, or anything that we may have caught over the last week. And end with a Crawling Chaos. And this week I'm actually going to talk about a Kickstarter program, Clagger. And we'll talk more about that later. So we'll get right in, I think, with our Laid to Rest. Did you have anything you wanted to wrap up from last week's show, The Signal?
I don't think so.
No?
I could have sworn I'd written something down, or you wrote something down for me, though. No?
Was there something that we were supposed to mention that we didn't?
Maybe. Are you really asking me, or do you know already? Are you just testing me?
Nope, I'm really asking you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think so.
All right.
I mean, I don't have anything to add or...
Well, let's get right into our movie review then, because we've got a lot to talk about.
Okay, because that was the worst Laid to Rest segment ever. Really? We got nothing?
I got nothing.
All right.
All right.
Moving right along.
Okay.
What's wrong, Blake?
Close your eyes and just concentrate on the sound of my voice. Where are you? I need you to tell me what you see.
Hello? Dr. Andover?
Fear. So many people stricken with debilitating phobias. Until I found the cure.
I know you saw him too. Everything fades once you're in there. You don't have to be afraid of anything anymore.
All of us wear masks every day. Isn't this mask what scares you? Is what it represents. I'm sorry to leave! Get me out of here! What is it?
He's coming.
Face your fear. You can't understand. I was fighting fear and winning. It's not real. But something went wrong. It can't hurt you. It's not real.
Okay, well, Fear Clinic is a 2014 movie, rated R. It's an hour and 35 minutes.
Okay.
Did it seem like it?
It kind of did.
Okay.
You know,
Is that for better or for worse?
Yeah. We'll get to that in a second then.
Well, after a restaurant shooting, the traumatized survivors turned to Dr. Peter Andover, who I might say is played by Robert Englund, and his revolutionary fear immersion chamber for help. But deadly consequences ensue when hallucinogenic manifestations of their phobias take shape in the real world. Okay, that sounds awesome.
And it could have been.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
I'm going to, okay.
Go ahead. You'll start.
No.
Oh, well, do you want me to start and then you'll dive right in?
I was just going to say this thing was a mess.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing. We like to support independent films and unique ideas and stuff like that.
Yes.
So
it was a unique idea, and it had Robert Englund.
Right. And
those are major pluses.
Right. And here's the thing. It was done from a web series. And I want to say watch the web series and
don't watch the movie?
Maybe you would have a deeper appreciation of it if you started with the web series.
Okay.
Because there were a few things, some missed opportunities here is what I feel.
Right. I wrote down a couple things when we watched the extras.
Mm-hmm.
The writers, the guys that work on the web series, they said things like this was inspired by mass shootings because, we hear about those all the time now. They needed to quote, their webisodes, as the one guy called them, needed to be bound together.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they feel they did that.
I feel, let's talk about the missed opportunities that I'm thinking, and it's the fact that when they did this, they tried to pack too much into that. You said it was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like there was 30 minutes of horror movie in there that was just stretched out a little bit too far. Like they could have done half as much story and had a twice as entertaining movie.
Okay.
Which normally we talk about, wanting to have a lot of things packed in there.
Right.
You know what I mean? The story, and with us, it's always all about the story. We want those things to be coherent and enjoyable and so on. And with this, it felt like they spent so much time explaining and getting to that point that it was kind of like I'm trying to think of a good analogy here, where it was long and drawn out, but punctuated with good horror elements throughout, but it was a long time waiting to get there. The last third of the movie picked up, and that's why I said if you had watched...
Well, and that wasn't necessarily a good thing.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay, so that's one thing. My second thing with that is when you throw something in specifically for effect, to me that comes off, it takes me out of the picture. It makes it hard for a suspension of disbelief.
Okay.
So the idea that they were doing this because shootings were controversial and that type of stuff, if that was just part of the story, I wouldn't have noticed it. But because they made that a focus of it, it stood out to me in a bad way. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I'm very eloquent in what I'm saying here.
You know what you're saying is a little bit of a mess, but you know what? That goes with the movie. I feel like I'm watching the movie again because that's how I felt the whole time.
Okay.
No, but no, I do know what you're saying because I was there and I get it. I'm going to tell some of the things I wrote while we were watching it. Mm-hmm. I was I couldn't get into it. So a lot of times when it's like, I'm going to have a little bit of trouble with this movie, I start making a pros list and a cons list because that way I can at least find some good things. Mm-hmm. I think I already said this. Good general concept. There was some creepy effects. There were other effects I hated, but there were some good creepy effects in there. And the fact that Robert Englund was there, that was great. Okay, but my cons list. Some of the writing, lack of explanations. There were slow, or was it just boring? Too unbelievable. I mean, I get it's a horror and it was crazy, but make me believe it anyway. Make me believe what I'm watching.
That's what I was saying, too, that if you had maybe watched the webisodes first, you would be prepared to deal with that because you would already have a basis for it.
And some of the, I guess part of what I was referring to when I wrote Unbelievable, I wrote the characters afterwards.
Okay.
The character of Sarah, who was our heroine, her relationship with the doctor, the way they interacted, like, I was like, what is going on here? There were so many things missing, and then I had written a note on here. Did I miss something, or did they just forget to write this part? But I felt that way throughout.
Okay.
So it felt like an unfinished thing that needed more
polish to it.
More scenes needed to be filmed and put in, a little more dialogue maybe.
Okay.
And then, maybe some things edited out. There was a little bit of weird CG animation that was like, okay, then you feel like you're watching the Sci-Fi Channel. I'm sorry. That's not always a bad thing, but in this movie, after seeing really cool effects and some really creepy stuff, it was like, oh God, what's with the weird CG animation? It looked very fakey. I'm sorry, the two maintenance guys, they weren't both maintenance guys, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
There was some bad acting happening there, and I guess it was just supposed to be funny and light, but like it didn't work for me. I wanted it to either be cornball then, or take this thing more serious and make it really awesome.
Well, here's my thing with it: the acting was uneven because of just specific performances were, and then you got to see great acting in the case of Robert Englund against other characters, and we've seen these actors throughout. And again, I'm not going to call
the main
anybody.
Girl, I liked the main girl. I felt sad for her that she was stuck in this movie.
Right.
That happens sometimes. I think she wasn't given enough to do, like enough. I don't know. It really felt like you got dropped in, and if you haven't seen, maybe you needed to be caught up on the web series before watching it. But I felt lost immediately. I mean, and I'm not stupid. I mean, I can follow a story, but there just felt like, I could figure out where they were going and what was happening, but there was stuff missing for me. It was missing. It made me unable to enjoy it. And I have to say, those the practical effects of flashing lights.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I actually wrote on my paper here, special effects by Nosferatu.
My gosh.
For those that watch SpongeBob, Nosferatu. Because towards the end, when the tension got up and the exciting stuff, it finally got to be, okay, things are happening and people are having to fight for their lives. It was like, hit the strobe light. It was like just the light flashing on and off.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to have a seizure if I keep watching this. A little bit of that, fine, but it was overkill. I think they could have done something cooler or better.
Right. And
some other kind of dramatic lighting rather than just going right for the strobe effect. Or a flicker. How about a solid light with flickering? But it was just like, I feel like I'm at the club. It's just constant. Like, I found that really irritating. I had to look away.
Here's another con to the movies, or another problem if I start making these notes generally.
I know. I feel so bad. Don't you feel so bad?
A little bit.
I do. I'm sorry. But if anybody is listening that's worked on this film, I'm so sorry.
Here's what I was going to say. I was able to come up with half a dozen other movies or books or things that had that same or similar to it. I don't know. Okay. Like I thought of Flatliners, Jacob's Ladder, the story by Robert R. McCammon, Nightcrawlers, and I think you can even find that as a sci-fi, or not as a Twilight Zone episode, a new Twilight Zone episode. Event Horizon, Altered States. There was Dreamscape. There's like a whole bunch of which